The streets will never make you grow. It's not a seed, it's a gutter. There's no happy endings in this life. So this is my message to you. The streets will never love you back.
Pow. Well, guys, today I got another Bad Avenue story for you. Now, back in the day, robbing drug dealers were very profitable. But if you robbed the wrong one, it was deadly. Now, it was a big business back then, and I'm sure it's a big business now. But back in the day, if you were a drug dealer, you had to be around a wise guy. You had to pay a wise guy, and you were protected by a wise guy, 100%. If you were selling drugs and you weren't paying a wise guy, you were a dead man walking. That's for sure. That's how it was back in the day. Not anybody could sell drugs. In order to sell drugs, you had to be around a wise guy and you had to pay. That's just the way it is. Now, back in the day, everybody in every family had a bunch of guys running around with beepers, selling cocaine, selling dope. That's just the way it was. If you had a pot spot, you were most likely around somebody. That's just the way it was back then. I'm not sure about today. I know today there ain't no pot spots. Today you probably just beep somebody or you call them on their cell phone and they'll deliver their pot to you. That's called phone business. You know, pot is very profitable today. Everyone's dealing pot. It's a low form of a crime. It's not even a crime to some people compared to the crimes that people commit. But back in the day, everybody was selling cocaine. Every family, the Colombos, the Genovese, the Bonanos, the Lucchese's, the Gambinos, every family had a bunch of kids in the neighborhood running around selling cocaine. It was a big business. And back in the day, the cocaine back then was the really good stuff. It was pink. It was chewy. I'm telling you, it was the real good stuff back then. Not like today, everything's cut up and you don't even know what the fuck you're getting. That's just the way it is. You can't even trust it because it might be fentanyl and you do a little thing and you kill yourself. So, but back in the day, everyone had a crew, and if you sold drugs, you had to be protected. It was a very deadly business. Now, me, Paulie G, Fabrizio, Tommy Reynolds, every so often, I would go out with Fabrizio, Tommy Reynolds, and I would rob drug dealers. That was how we made our money. And eventually, we were getting $10,000 a week from drug dealers, and we were splitting it up every week with Joe Benanti. And Joe Benanti was giving his end to Sparrow. And the money always gets funneled up. So if you're an associate on the street, you're most likely around a wise guy or a captain. You're paying him every week for protection. Just in case if you have to have a sit down, he's your rabbi and he sits down for you and he funnels that money up to the boss. Now, most likely the boss knows where that money's coming from because they know where the money's coming from. If it's legitimate money and that guy is a legitimate guy with legitimate businesses, they know that money is legitimate money. But most likely a lot of guys in the street are street guys. And they don't have legitimate businesses, but they're hustling on the street and they're giving their captain or their wise guy money and they're funneling up to the boss. And the boss knows where it's coming from. And he just closes an eye because who's ever the goose with the golden egg and is bringing in the money, he don't give a fuck. Just keep on bringing that money in because money talks and bullshit walks. It's just the way it is in life, everywhere you go. Now, back in the day, I had this kid, Angelo. This kid, Angelo, was from Avenue U. He was a big kid. He used to hang out near the pool hall. between West 10th, West 9th. That was Sparrow's pool hall over there. And he was related to Angelo Defendis. Angelo Defendis was an old-time wise guy out of Lucchese family. He was very well respected. He always used to drive around an old black Cadillac on Avenue U. And he used to be a boxer back in the day. He had a son that was eventually murdered, and then they retaliated on his murder. I'll get into that story some other time. That's another story I'll pick up, and will call me, and I will call Reynolds. This particular day, there was some kid, I don't remember his name. He was on West 10th and Avenue U, and he was selling cocaine. He had a beeper business, and he had some money on him and some cocaine. So Angelo points him out. He's standing on the corner near a payphone. I pull up with Tommy Reynolds. I grab him, and I threw him in the car. Okay, he was a skinny kid. I just grabbed him. I grabbed him from behind, and I threw him in the car. I said, listen, I want to talk to you. He knew who I was, and I told him, I said, listen, give me all the money. I had a pistol. I said, give me all your fucking money, and give me the drugs. And Tommy Reynolds had a pistol on him, too. Now, the kid's looking at us, and I'm telling him, I said, listen, who are you with? Mention a name. So he don't mention a name to me. Now, usually back in the day, you would mention a name because a name will protect you. Once you mention a wise guy's name, now I know who you're with. Whichever wise guy you mention, I know exactly what family he's in and who he's connected to. That's 100%. That's the way it is in the street. So this kid don't mention no name. I take his beeper, I take his drugs, and I take his money. And I hit him over the head twice with the pistol. Bang, bang. And I kicked him out of the car. That's what I did. And I left him on the corner. Now, I split the money with Reynolds. I gave some money to the kid, Angelo, and I gave him some coke. Now, the kid, Angelo, eventually overdoses later on in life because he loved drugs so much. You know, you start out with cocaine, then you go to dope, and eventually you destroy your life. So any kids out there, whatever you do not do drugs. Drugs will kill you. You'll destroy your life, and you'll destroy your whole family. It's just a sad story, anyone who's doing drugs out there. But to finish this story, what happened was the next day, I go to Bay 23rd, and I give Paulie Galino the beeper, okay? So as I give him the beeper, I said, Paulie, I said, here's the beeper. And we're in the Tiamo, we're hanging out. And all of a sudden, Tommy Karate comes in. Now, Tommy Karate goes to the payphone. And when he goes to the payphone, he makes a phone call. As he makes the phone call, the beeper that I just gave Paulie G is beeping. And the payphone number is the Tiamo number. We're saying, Paulie, the callback number is the number where we're at. We're standing in the Tiamo on Bay 23rd and Beth, and this is the callback number. So anyone who just beeped this number, beeped it from the Tiamo. So we call back the number. We walk 2 blocks. We call back the number, and Tommy Karate answers the phone. And we go, who's this? He says, this is Tommy. Who's this? Paulie G goes, Tommy, this is Paulie. Oh, Paulie. He said, what's up? He said, you just beeped the number. He said, yeah. He said, is that the beeper you have in your hand right now? And Paulie G says, yes. He said, okay, come meet me on Bay 23rd. So we walk back to the corner, and Tommy's saying, who's the kids who robbed this kid? So Paulie G tells him it was Jimmy and Tommy Reynolds. He said, okay. He said, and so Paulie G's telling him, he said, Tommy, he said, this must be a misunderstanding. We had the kid in the car. Jimmy had the kid in the car with Tommy. They kept on pressing him. Who you would, who you would. The kid never mentioned nobody's name. If the kid would have mentioned your name, we would have stopped it right there. We would let the kid out of the car. And you know what? This would never even happen. So it goes by that the kid was around Tommy. Okay. The kid's name was some I don't know, some Flacco kid. His name was Flacco. He was like a Spanish Italian kid. And so we tell Tom, he said, Tom, I apologize. I didn't know he was with you. He says, okay, Jimmy. He says, no problem. He said, the kid was supposed to mention my name. I said, Tommy, if the kid would have mentioned your name, believe me, I would have given back the people, the drugs, the money. I probably would have even given some of my money. Said, hey, give this to Tommy and tell him I said hi. Okay? But he didn't mention nobody's name. So anyway, Paulie G squashes it for me. Tommy just laughs it off. He says, okay. He said, you kids, okay. You a bunch of gits, huh? Gangsters in training. Okay, that's good, good. Keep on doing your thing. Keep on doing your thing. That's the way Tommy talked. And Tommy was a gangster. You don't want no beef with him. So anyway, that's a quick Beth Avenue story. I hope you enjoyed it. Back in the day, all the drug dealers were around wise guys. And if you robbed the wrong drug dealer, it was deadly. It would cost you your life. That's 100%. And if I wasn't who I was with the Beth Avenue crew, believe me, I would have been killed a long time ago for robbing that guy. But Tommy knew that we were out there doing our thing, just like at one time he was out there doing his thing. And we were making a name for ourselves. And in the end, at the end of our careers, all of our lives were destroyed. So this is just a Beth Avenue story, giving you an eye-opener of the streets will never love you back. Get a day job, do something with your life. And you know what? Build that foundation, build a family, and live a good, happy life. With that said, I love you guys. I'll see you in my next video. And until then, everyone stay safe, stay warm. It's freezing out there. God is number one. God first, always. Bye, guys.
The streets will never make you grow. It's not a seed, it's a gutter. There's no happy endings in this life. So this is my message to you. The streets will never love you back.